Casey Franchini on this episode talks about how she completely changed her life from sitting an hour and a half bumper to bumper traffic to being able to stay at home with her kids and quit her job with only 6 rental properties. And she generates over $100,000 of income, not making real estate her job, but just picking the right types of properties so that she could have passive income and not spend a single minute managing them most months so she could spend more time with her kids. You guys are going to love this episode with Casey Franchini. And if, by the way, you've gotten value from any of these podcasts, it would mean so much for us if you would take a moment now to please leave a review on your podcast app. It makes it so much easier for us to keep posting episodes to reach more people and help people achieve, like yourself, financial freedom and get that first wholesale deal. Thank you so much, and you're going to love this episode.
The DealMachine REI Podcast. Everything you need to know to get started in real estate investing.
Casey, could you tell us in 60 seconds your story?
Yes. So I started off in real estate in 2007, right before the market crash, and I was a young investor. I started working with flippers and helping them find their houses, and that's how I got the real estate investing bug. But it wasn't until we moved to Memphis in 2013 that I said, hey, this is a gold mine. We can invest here. And we started buying properties in 2016.
Amazing. And I know that you said before you got into real estate investing, you were working for a company that actually gave you an hour and a half commute every single day in bumper to bumper traffic, and you were just pulling your hair out. Tell us about that.
So it was my first real job, that I got out of college. I had my public relations degree from Cal State Fullerton in Southern California. And I got this job in this really fancy high-rise building in Newport Beach. And it was an hour and a half drive through, Orange County, California traffic to get to work. I would leave in the dark. I would come home in the dark. And I said, this just blows. Like, this really can't be what everybody goes to college and to school for their lives so they can, it just felt like misery. And when the company shut down, I thought, just from the owner's personal misdealings with personal life issues, it was a blessing in disguise. That was my cue to say, you know what, this isn't for me. How could this be for anybody really? But hey, I'm a little different and I know I can make it a different way. And I had to think hard about what it was going to be, but it was not going to be an hour and a half drive back and forth for 40 years.
Just any amount of traffic is so frustrating.
Yeah.
I can't imagine an hour and a half.
Well, and bumper to bumper beach traffic, like it was just terrible.
I've done the commute. I drove on I worked for Foot Locker selling shoes. That's where I got my feet wet in the sales industry. But I had to drive an hour and 15 minutes, St. Joe to Overland Park for Foot Locker. That's where I got my feet wet. Foot Locker. So, okay, I got to go back for a second. You went to college. You got your degree. What was your degree in?
It was in in communications.
Okay. So it relates. Communications.
You're very good at communicating. It makes sense now why you have so many Instagram followers.
Yeah. And I had a business minor. I was going for business first, but business calculus just killed me. Like, I hate math. And it was really tough for some of those business finance classes, mostly calculus. I failed it, had to take summer school. And I was like, you know what, forget this. But I was so close to having a minor. I just took like 1 or 2 more classes. Got the minor, and when I changed my major to communications, everyone says it's easy, but it was like it was so easy for me. I got top of my class for the whole school, like in that degree. So it was fun, it was easy. I'm like, this is what I meant to do. I meant to write. I meant to communicate. I meant to do marketing and things like that. Just much better than sitting behind a computer, in my opinion.
So how does that relate now? How does that communications relate to what you're currently doing?
Well, funny enough, like I feel like it really helped because I'm a really good writer, always have been. After even before my quote real job out of college, I was doing freelance writing for some NASCAR people and doing mock-ups with Photoshop when that was when that was kind of new back in the day. And so I was doing a lot of press releases and getting people in newspapers and magazines. And so I was kind of doing that a long time ago and just this, Instagram kind of thing that I started, my coaching company, it was like, wow, this is what I love. Like, I love communicating. I love writing. I love, selling. I love sharing stories and creating a community, and just kind of felt right. I don't know.
Yeah. So for those listening, if you haven't checked out Casey's Instagram, it's Brick by Brick Wealth, and you're going to really enjoy her content. And I know myself from checking that out in advance that just because she finally quit her job that had an hour and a half bumper to bumper traffic and decided to start offering on rental properties, it wasn't even easy then, right? And so I want you to tell us, what happened next. Like, what was the next roadblock that you bumped up against?
It was really a pivotal point. And when my husband and I moved to Memphis in 2013, he got a job offer doing something he didn't have any experience in. Someone took a chance on him, and so we took it and moved. Plus, it was a way to get out of California, and we could afford a house, and I could be a stay-at-home mom, and I had a baby and a toddler, a 3-week-old and a 2-year-old, so a real baby. And I knew no one. And I said, okay, well, we're in Memphis, but I want to start buying rental properties here because we didn't pull the trigger in California. And my husband's like, well, Casey, we just moved here on a single income, bought a 3,000 square foot fixer. Where are we going to get this money from? I'm like, gosh, dang it, fine. So I had to figure out how I was going to create, 20, 30 grand for a down payment, because I did not want to go back to work. That was not the deal. The deal was we move here, I get my house at the pool, and I don't have to work. So how am I going to start my rental property empire if I need a job, So I was like, okay, well, what can I do? And I didn't want to do real estate again. Like, I didn't want to be a real estate agent, because I hated being the buyer's agent. And that's mostly what I did in California, was drive around for flippers. And, California is huge. So it was a lot of driving. Okay. Memphis is much smaller. I mean, I could get to one side and the other in 45 minutes. I can be in the middle of nowhere in 45 minutes. But in California, that's an easy drive to somewhere. And I was driving easily an hour to an hour and a half to go preview properties for investors. So I'm like, no, I'm not doing that again, over my dead body. So I decided that I was going to do something that I liked, something fun. And I started an Etsy shop out of thin air. I started creating items. Like, I would buy items at Dollar Tree. Like, I would buy the $1 stuffed rabbits, like tiny little bunnies during Easter. And I would get my Cricut and I would put, Sarah on the front with 2017. And I would, sell these little bunnies for $5 to $7 on Facebook resale sites. And I would do porch pickup, and I would sell them on Etsy, and they would start off things like that. And within a year and a half, I'd saved up $20,000 by just working some days at nap time, in the evenings, on the weekends. So I had to really think about what I could do that I liked to do that wouldn't compromise my whole point of moving out to Tennessee, which was I didn't need a real job, but I still needed money for a rental property. And I wasn't going to take no for an answer. I was just going to figure it out.
Got it.
So
So
you're
the
still
Etsy
in
shop is what
Memphis
raised
now?
Yes, we're still in Memphis, 10 years strong.
So the Etsy shop is what generated cash for you to make a down payment or to fix up your
Correct.
3,000 square foot fixer that you guys bought?
So my husband's job paid for the fixer for our house, but my money went towards the down payment for our first rental.
Amazing. Can you break that first deal down, and how you found it and how you decided it was the right one?
Yeah, so we are in Memphis, and if anyone knows Memphis, it's one of the number one crime spots in the country, year over year. It is dangerous. It is a high cash flowing place to buy rentals, but you have to be very careful on exactly where you buy. So even though there were houses for $10,000, I was not wanting to buy those. I wanted to buy something in an area that I felt safe going to, that I could possibly live in, an area a house that I knew I would be able to keep forever and not feel like, oh, I don't know, I might have to sell this in 5 years. Like, no, I wanted a forever home, like a forever investment. My first one, I need a strong foothold, a good foundation, nothing too sketchy, nothing too risky. So we bought in what I think is one of the top-notch neighborhoods in East Memphis. It has a really great school. It's where a lot of like young couples will kind of buy their first house when they graduate college. So you get a lot of like office workers, like white collar folks, will live there. It's a good mix, but it's a really great neighborhood. So we bought a 3-bedroom, 1-bath for $92,500. And it didn't need a lot of work. So even though my husband and I were starting to get handy, we had to fix up our house in California. We were fixing up our house, and I think we were then going to fix up. My mother-in-law bought a house down the street. We're going to completely rehab that for her when she moved a couple years later. But I don't think that had happened yet. Tourists,
Did you say you bought a 3-bedroom house for $9,500?
95
Oh, 95,000.
thousand. Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so, yeah, no, we didn't want those for, yeah,
Those are the ones you didn't buy. Yeah.
92,500 is what it was. So we bought it. It didn't need a lot of work because we're like, well, we don't want to buy something that needs too much work, right? Because we're not that well versed. Now we've done several properties, and my husband owns every tool at Home Depot and Lowe's. They know me by name, and I have the manager's cell phone numbers in my cell phone. So that's how it is now. Yeah, I know. It's pretty cool. Home Depot, we don't like so much, but we do go there. But anyways, so we scraped the ceilings on this house. I would never do that again. But you do some things. Yes, they were popcorn. We scraped them. Because in California, you don't have popcorn ceilings. Like, no, you have knockdown. But out here, they wouldn't even do that. They're all flat. So we scraped the ceilings, and I think we smoothed them down, which I would never do again for a rental of that type. Maybe some A-class property if I was flipping. And so we really put just $1,000 or $2,000 into it. We did all the grunt work ourselves. We painted and kind of scraped the ceilings, and really that was it. Just cleaned it up. And at the time it rented, we did a 20-year loan. I don't remember the interest rate, but it was probably like 5.5% or something like that at the time in 2017. And that house then rented for $1,075. So today we still have that house. We bought that one again in 2017, I believe, or 2016. And today that house has a tenant in there, and they pay, I think, $1,595, something like that, 15 something. So the rents have gone up. It's in a great neighborhood, and we cash flow about $900 a month after fixed expenses, and I self-manage.
What's the say fixed expenses? What is that? What does fixed expenses entail?
Yeah, so fixed expenses, right, are expenses that you have to pay no matter what. They're not variable, so it's just principal, interest, taxes, insurance. That's our fixed expenses. I self-manage, so I don't count that. But with that amount of cash flow, I don't have to sit and get my calculator and take out an extra 15 to 20%. Like, there's so much money there. Like, I just don't do that. Unless I'm buying a new property and it's like, okay, am I on the line of maybe not cash flowing enough? Then I go through those extra steps to find exact numbers. But I just don't buy those houses. Anyway.
I feel like you and me have a very similar path where we were picking properties that we would feel comfortable living in as well. You wanted to pick a property that wasn't actually going to be too much. You weren't building a whole new house, right? You were scraping off some popcorn paint. And then you actually found a good enough deal that was going to cash flow. And as you've held it for 5 years, it's increased 50% in terms of the rent that it's brought in, which is really amazing. Why wouldn't you scrape the popcorn off, by the way? Tell me about that.
Because it wouldn't add to the value of the property in this market. So why would you do that? Nobody notices, nobody cares. Even expensive houses out here still have popcorn ceilings. So that's just something that wrong market, in California, that would be something you would need to do. But again, those houses are $1 million, even though they're the same size, 1,000 square feet, $1 million. That's what it is. But out here in Memphis, people don't care. And also something else I thought was interesting is adding new windows, taking out the old windows and adding vinyl windows also doesn't really add much value. And that's because nobody opens their windows out here. It's either hot or it's cold. You get 2 weeks a year where it's in between. And probably Ryan over here knows, because if you're in Kansas City, it's probably similar weather. You get 1 week of spring, 1 week of fall weather where there's a nice breeze and you can open your window. Otherwise, your windows are closed and you got blinds on them. So adding windows is great if you want to sell the house, but it's not really going to add a lot of value in a small house. If you're renting it, nobody opens the windows.
I want to stay in this. It is absolutely true. I want to stay in this for just a second more. What are a couple other things that you've noticed in the rental? And this is a total selfish podcast question, but I like to know. I'm hearing some really good things here. What are other things in your rental properties that you would not change? What's a couple that you would change that do help?
So another thing that I'm trying not to change are completely redoing all the bathrooms. I'm not a fan of avocado green tile, baby blue tile, yellow tile, like that 1950s bathrooms. People like that. Now, it blows my
People
mind.
like it because it's
Yes.
back in style.
Yes, it's coming back. Now, it's coming back, but not like that. Okay. We're not talking 4-inch square tiles on the walls. Now, a lot, I'm getting real. It's really difficult to keep these bathrooms, but It costs. I got quoted just a couple of weeks ago. So we usually do our own rehabs, but we got kids are older and they need help with homework, and they all have 2 sports. We have 3 kids, so we don't have a lot of time to rehab. My husband's at a rehab house right now. We have a worker at another different house. It's like we don't have time. We want to enjoy our summer, and so we've started hiring some things out. We got a quote for a bathroom remodel, and one guy quoted us $5,000 for labor. I'm talking simple, regular, tiny bathroom. Okay. Tub, shower combo, pedestal sink, and a toilet. Super small and easy. $5,000 for a bathroom remodel. Another one was $3,500, another $3,200. I'm like, whoa, when were the days where the whole bathroom cost $5,000, including materials? So it's like, how long is it going to take for me to get, is my rent going to be enough to make a new bathroom remodel worth it? My opinion is, if you're not redoing the kitchen too, then no, don't do it. If you're just throwing some granite on your kitchen counters in your kitchen and you're leaving the cabinets the same and adding some handles, you don't need to gut your bathroom. You can lipstick that bathroom as long as the tile's in good shape, it's not cracked and nasty, and your bathtub can be refinished and it's cast iron. Don't spend your money on a bathroom unless you need it for cash out refinancing. You need that high, ARV or something like that. The tenants don't care. They don't really care so much about a brand new bathroom as much as they care about a kitchen. So I would put more money into fixing the kitchen up, even replacing. We've gone so far now as to not do 42-inch shaker uppers and do new lowers. Sometimes we'll do standard builder grade, like not soft closed door lowers that have the shaker look, but they're not really shaker. And we will, what? Shaker is the door style, so it's got that flat, like square border around the edge.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's shaker. Yeah, like a picture frame. So that's shaker. And when everyone sees these beautiful white kitchens, that's the cabinet front, like the door front that they have. But so we'll do some cheaper lowers and we'll spend more money on the uppers and take out the soffits and stuff. And that gives a big wow factor. And we may not even put granite on the countertops, depending upon the neighborhood, because
What do you
granite
use?
now, we'll use a granite or marble looking Formica.
Okay.
They have some really
Love it.
great patterns now of Formica
Yeah.
that we'll use.
And you don't like Home Depot, so you get the stuff at Menards.
Yeah, well, we don't have
You have
Menards, so we
Menards?
either got no, we
Oh.
don't. So we like Home Depot and Lowe's. I get 5%, back at Lowe's with my credit card. So we try and use Lowe's. They have more stuff in stock. Usually, when we go to Home Depot, there's less stuff in stock. That means you're making multiple Home Depot trips. You're having to go to Home Depot and Lowe's. So I just made friends with the managers at Lowe's, and now I just text them. It's amazing.
That is
Amazing.
awesome. That's status right there.
I know. I felt
So-
so cool.
So you actually say it's not worth doing the bathroom unless you're doing the kitchen, and you don't really need to do the whole kitchen. You're not seeing the bump in rents actually make it worthwhile. And if you are going to do the kitchen, you might do more fancy top cabinets than bottom cabinets.
Correct. Because you can paint I will do like this navy blue lower with the builder grade off the shelf cabinets at the store. And then they have some really great RTA cabinets that you can get that are soft close. They're 42 inches, or we do 42, so we don't have to do, molding at the top for the 39s. So we'll do the nice uppers. It's like, whoa, beautiful. We'll do white ones at the top, navy blue on the bottom. We'll do the matte black, stuff, or maybe brushed nickel. I'm trying to stay away from chrome because, at least in the kitchen, because I feel like that's harder to replace if things were to get messed up. So, and then gold. I would love to do gold, right? It matches really pretty with navy blue, but everyone's gold is a different color.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
true.
no, for sure. And you must be a lot happier now because you're not commuting an hour and a half. And I'm guessing maybe that's your gripe with Home Depot because it's too far compared to Lowe's.
Yeah, that's true. Home Depot is not the close store.
So tell us where you're at now with your investing and how it's changed your life and how you enjoy that.
It has changed our life immensely. And I will say that most people think they need to have like Ryan, like I got 400 houses. I flipped 400. I've sold 400. Like, holy cow. Like that sometimes is so big that people are like, oh, I can never do that. That's unobtainable. That's not me. That's somebody else. But we just closed on house 8. That's it, 8. And I used to be, honestly, David, I would be scared, like not scared. I would not want to say how many houses I had, because I wasn't the person that had 100 doors. And I'm like, oh, no one wants to hear from me. I don't have a lot of properties. But it's like, well, the six that I haven't even updated my numbers, but the six that I had would bring in 100,000 a year gross rental income from just six houses. So it's like, wow, I don't need to have 100 doors to make a big difference. I don't need to turn my life into a rental property machine. I could just have just a few make a difference. One house can bring me in $900 a month. And yeah, I've got plenty of money to pay for a leak here or there if that happens, with that money. Just one house makes a difference. And I feel like that's what people don't understand. They think that they have to have a zillion doors to make a difference in their lives, but we make an extra income from our rental properties with just a few houses, just buying one a year.
I personally know that there's a guy that works is a lightly used term in our market, but when he approached me, he's like, I've got 400 properties. I'm like, dang, like, what's your cash flow? And he's like, $2,500 a month. I'm like, excuse me, like 400 properties and you only make 2,500. Like, you to me, like, the status of 400 doors is like really cool if your cash flow is like 30 grand. But things are offset drastically when you're like, I've got 400, but you're split with so many people that it's like, why would you even do that? It's a waste.
Yeah, I agree. So for me, it's quality over quantity. It's like, well, there's something to be said for I own all my houses. I don't share profits with another investor. And yeah, we work hard. We save our money for our down payment. But the more properties you have providing cash flow and putting them into your pot, the faster your pot is able to regenerate another down payment. So we've got extra spending money. Last year, my husband needed a truck. We were doing all of our houses, all of our rehabs out of my husband's 2008 Altima. Okay. We all know what a Nissan Altima looks like. Now imagine the trunk and back seat completely full with tools, driving back and forth, pulling stuff in and out of a car. Oh my God, it was just terrible. He needed a truck so bad, but we didn't want to spend the money on a truck. Last year, our rental property account bought us a truck. We paid cash for it. It was used, but it looks really nice, and it's 2020. Bought a truck. We also bought a travel trailer, used, but got a great deal. And, it's like we saved so much over the years. We sacrificed so much. We bought this fixer upper that I told you about. And the kitchen, when we bought the kitchen in our house we live in now, was a gutter. I mean, it was a gut job. It had blue laminate countertops, original 1970s cabinets. The doors were falling off the hinges all the time. The particle board, like under the laminate, was falling apart. 8 years we delayed doing our kitchen. Every single year I said, well, Blake, we can either put $30,000 into a new kitchen or we can put it into a house. And I go, well, my kitchen doesn't make me money, so I'm going to buy a house instead. We did that for 8 years until literally our kitchen fell apart. And I said, okay, I think it's time that we can't doctor this kitchen anymore, buy a new kitchen. But it's like at that time, then we had 6 houses and we didn't feel too bad now to put 30 grand into a kitchen because we had a lot more money.
Please open up your podcast app right now and leave us a review and let us know what you thought of this episode. It means so much because the reviews help us get in front of more people. And the more people we can get in front of, the more we can help them achieve financial freedom. And we also get more energy to put more content out like this to help you. So by leaving us a review, it will give you more content to come to help you along on your journey. Thank you so much. Got it. Yeah, you guys delayed gratification and you just were kind of addicted to actually putting the money into an investment that would make more money, it sounds like.
We're still addicted. And it's funny because Blake and I were going to a restaurant the other night with the kids. And I was like, a lot of people have hobbies. They'll, like my friend on the street, she wants to go on vacation. She is out of town all the time going on vacation. And then I have other friends who have their other weird hobbies. I'm like, our hobby is buying houses, like spending a lot of money on rehabs and buying houses. And we live at Home Depot and Lowe's where they know us by name. Like that can't be that bad of a hobby if our hobby is making money, right? Is that not bad? That addiction is not too bad.
That's
it's like
a good hobby.
I think when you do something that you love, it's fun. You enjoy doing it and it doesn't, feel like work. But when what you love to do makes money, I feel like that's kind of the icing on the cake.
Mm-hmm. So I have to hear, why do you like Lowe's better than Home Depot? Is it actually the distance or was that just the joke you were going along with me?
No, it is a distance. Yeah, Lowe's is a lot closer. So To our rental houses, Home Depot is closer, but we don't get a discount when we go to Home Depot. So we go to, and Home Depot upped their bid desk. Now it's $2,500 to get a discount, whereas Lowe's is still 1,500. So if we do
So
some
wait a
big
minute. If you
jobs,
spend 1,500, then you get a big discount. That's what you're saying?
you can take it to the pro desk at Lowe's and you can ask for a volume pricing discount, and they push a button, and now you can do it on your app if you're a Lowe's for Pros member, MVP.
One of the things you said in your story was that if you haven't done your first deal yet, it's not because the market isn't good. It's not because of interest rates or anything like that. It's because you're scared.
Yeah. Yep. Where there's a will, there's a way. There are a zillion ways, up and down, left to right. Why not? Why not to invest? Why not to get started? There's always, I mean, hello, we all know the news and it's never good. There's always a catastrophe. There's always something bad going on. There's always some world disaster every single day of the year, every single year. So don't let that get to you. It's all BS, that none of that stuff's really going to affect you. Now, if we got World War III and we're getting nuked, we got bigger problems than you bought a rental that year. We're all in the hole, you know. So it's a good time to get started always. It doesn't matter the interest rates. Oh, you're worried about interest rates? Ask for 2% seller credits. Buy your rate down with the seller's money. You're worried about rates? Go find seller financing. You're worried about rates? Do an off-market deal and get another type of financing. Use private money, whatever. Just no excuses, because now I had a post ready to go the other day and it failed to upload and it got deleted and I was so mad about it. But my post was, if that happens to you guys, the post was, I wanted to do a post for every single person that watches my Instagram to post what year they started investing. Because I can guarantee you there are people that started their investing career at every single freaking year. Every single year, someone started investing. It's that first investment, just getting started. Does that mean that's going to be your best investment ever? No. If you're always waiting for the best deal to get started, there will never be a best deal. You won't know if you have a best deal unless you have multiple deals to compare. So let's get some deals so you can say, yep, man, that year, those are my best deals. You won't have that if you don't have any deals.
Right. And even today with the interest rates high, people say it's high. It's definitely been higher in the past, but I know you just bought a rental property. Was it last week?
Yeah, so we closed on it last week, I think, and I just posted about it this morning. But yeah, we got a 6.875 with no points. So I know rates are a little bit higher even now from when we locked, but I'm happy with that. I'm happy with anything in the sixes. I'm older, and I remember back then, before the market crash, rates were like in the 5 to 6% range. So anything to me, 5 to 6% is good, Now we're talking 7, 8%. I might have a bit of a heart palpitation with that. Like, so, okay, we've got to think of ways around it. We have to maybe, put more money down to get the cash flow that you want. Buy in different areas. Once the sellers realize that, oh, I'm not going to get what my listing agent told me I'm going to get because rates just went up an entire 1.5 overnight, they're going to have to start dropping their prices because nobody that's 50 years old or younger has had interest rates in the 7 to 8% range. Now, my parents bought their house there when I grew up, and when I was in the 90s, my parents bought their house. They got a VA loan, 12 to 14% interest. So the 16, 70-year-olds out there, they're the only ones that remember high interest rates. None of us other people do that are 50 and younger. And so we're freaking out. So anyone that is selling their house right now is going to have to realize that they're going to have to drop their prices, just for the simple fact that we are stubborn human folk. And it's going to be hard for us to swallow a 7 to 8% interest rate without some sort of discount.
I just signed papers for 7% today.
Yeah.
So
a little bit hard to breathe.
It's like,
7's not that bad, but 8, woo!
No, yeah, I would be nervous about 8 too.
Yeah.
But I've heard stories of people like Megan's aunt and uncle. They surprise visited us once, and we got talking about real estate, and they bought houses, and their interest rate, I can't remember what year it was, but their interest rate was like 14%, and they still were doing it. I'm like, man, if that isn't a testament It had to have been, yeah. If that isn't a testament to what you just said, that every time is a good time to get started. Interest rates are high, you'll figure it out. You will find another, there will be something good about it. Maybe the appreciation over time, but also what goes up is eventually going to come back down. And all of us that went out and bought properties and got them at 7, 8, 9%, whatever, when the interest rates come back down, we're going to be at the bank refinancing it at 3, 4, and we're going to be getting more cash in our pocket then too. So
Exactly. And that's why I didn't buy my rate down the other day. Like we didn't buy our rate down because I'm like, you either pay for your rate now when you get your loan, or you wait and you spend the money and buy your rate, you refinance, buy your rate, get a better rate then. So I'm like, look, at 6.875 with no points, that's fair. I'm fine with that. I still will cash flow pretty well with that interest rate, but I'm not willing to spend the money now, a couple grand just to get 3/4 of a point off. I'm just going to save it and cross my fingers. One day rates will go down. Who knows? It might not be tomorrow. It might not be next year. It might be several years down the road. People said we're going to see sub 5 then December. Now they're like, oh, it's going to be under 6. It's like, well, what's it going to be? Nobody knows. No one has a crystal ball. So just do what you can. Be comfortable with what you have, what your options are now. Be comfortable with it. Have a comfortable solution. And then if things get better in the future, then you can change plans.
yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Casey, as we wrap up today, I was really curious about your coaching program. And I was wondering, are there any specific requirements if somebody's looking to get their first rental property that would qualify them to be a good person to apply for your program?
Yes, actually. So I do have a one-on-one coaching program, and it's designed for aspiring real estate investors. I help them hold their hand the whole way through for getting their first rental property, from understanding financing to cashing their first rent check. But there are qualifications to join because this is an action program, not just take a course and learn and do it on your own time. This is action. So you have to have money for a down payment. It has to come from somewhere. Either you have equity in your house, you can borrow from your 401k, or you have cash. One of those things. I don't take gifts. Like you can't get gifted from anyone, and no partners right now. So it's got to be all you. You need to have $30,000 to $50,000 available, because I know you'll be buying something under $200,000 if you go single family. Multifamily's up in the air. And you have to have a credit score of 680 unless you plan on buying all cash. So I want you to be eligible to get a decent loan. So you have to have a 680 credit score and access to 30 to 50K, and the willingness to do the work and be ready to buy. That's
Amazing.
Love it.
So if you guys meet that and you're interested, I think that you can go to Casey's Instagram and find the link to actually apply, which in your Instagram, again, is Brick by Brick Wealth. Is that the best place for them to go?
Yes. I'm on Instagram daily, and you can also visit me at my website, brickbybrickwealth.com.
Amazing. And if you guys aren't at a place where you have $50,000 to put as a down payment quite yet, just like Casey started an Etsy store to raise $20,000 to help get her first property, a lot of our podcast episodes are actually about people building up that cash position to buy a property. A lot of our episodes are about wholesaling real estate. And we even have the latest episode about an Uber driver who drives for dollars while he's Uber Eats delivering. So he's using that money as well to help build up his cash position so that he can get a rental property. So check that out. It's episode 17. And Casey, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's very inspiring the way you overcame that traffic. You made a bunch of offers that didn't get accepted until you moved to Memphis. And then you actually, found a property that wasn't going to be too much work that you were going to learn on. And you kind of overcame being scared. So that way you could just get that deal done and move on to the next one, and just change your life and have more time to spend with your kids. Definitely very inspiring.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.